the north at about 5 to 15. So going from 90s to 60s, and I know when we go from extremes, it never fails. We always end up getting people going, boy, it feels like winter outside. What's the deal? I know, we always hear that, but we got to put things into perspective. So what I did, I figured I'd do the numbers. Looking back, how often do we go from 90s to 60s in just under 2 days? Well, it doesn't happen very often. Take a look here. We tabulated 543 90-degree days in the last 50 years. That's total. Of those 543, only 15 of them went from 90s to 60s in under 2 days. Now, what's interesting about that is 8 of those 15 occurred in September. And when we look back, it's actually happened twice this month. We forget June 1st and June 2nd, we went from 90s to 60s. The last time it's happened twice in the month of June was back in 1988. So yes, it's kind of a rarity for this to happen. Again, it happens more in September because September you end up getting those cool autumn days later in the month. All right, out on the lake, north wind at 5 to 15, southwest wind tomorrow, waves generally 1 to 3 feet. So the high is moving east, and as that happens, we'll start to warm things up. Now, we're not going to get into the 90s tomorrow. That'll be Tuesday. Monday will be kind of a transition day. But today, looking good, mostly sunny, highs in the low 70s. Again, very little chance you're going to see any rain today. Today's kind of a perfect day. Now, I define perfect as anything between like 65 and 80 degrees with sunshine, no rain, and low humidity. All right, that's kind of subjective, but I think everyone would agree. So this is a graphic I created maybe a year and a half ago, and I updated it this year. So the bar graph represents the frequency of where we see these perfect weather days, right? So you go back, right? January doesn't happen very often, and then you get that brief spike here in May and June, and then you get a drop off here in July and August. The drop off is because of the heat and humidity. It gets into the 80s with high humidity. I don't count that as a perfect day. And then September, October, right? We get that bigger spike. It actually occurs more in September into early October, and then the big drop off in November. So the red arrow here indicates where we are, right here on the calendar, right? Middle of June, roughly. And so historically, right, we're kind of in the middle of this June peak. So again, just some historical perspective. I like to do the numbers for you so you can check it out. We'll be in the 50s tonight. Now, tomorrow's a transition day. It's a split forecast. The warm front takes all day to move through, and so north or east of that warm front, we're going to be a lot cooler than areas west. There will be a few late morning, midday showers right out of the northwest along the front. That's 11 a.m., that's noon, that's 2 o'clock. All right, coverage will be around 40 to 50%, a few hundredths of an inch of rain tomorrow. These will not be heavy at this point, but once again, with the cloud cover and those showers, this is the setup here. Look at the temperatures by 6 p.m. Tiffin will be in the mid-80s. Will be right around 70 to 72 Cleveland, Akron, and then east into the mid-60s. So kind of a split forecast. I illustrated all this in the forecast discussion at fox8.com. You can't illustrate that on the 8-day because you got to put one number on an 8-day, everybody. So go to the forecast discussion. We always give you more context, and we always give you more details there than we can cram on an 8-day forecast. Either way, it warms up Tuesday, Wednesday, hot and humid. Next cold front comes in on Wednesday. Small chance of some thunder as we go from 2 days of heat and humidity. Now, the temps will drop, all right, over the latter couple days of this week. But we're not going from 90s to 70s or 60s. We're going from 90s into the lower and middle 80s. All right. More on that coming up in a few minutes with the 8-day rainfall forecast, well below normal over the next couple of weeks. Notice the chances of rain, our confidence with that we get rain from these systems, and the coverage pretty small. People are always wondering, what does the percentage mean on when we look at an 8-day forecast? I should probably write a blog post because it gets a little convoluted. There's a technical definition which is really hard to understand. My definition is this. I look at what's our confidence, what's the coverage when we look at all of northern Ohio, and what's critical. All right, critical meaning, is it intense rain, is it thunderstorms, is it whatever? And you kind of combine those numbers to come up with a percentage that best describes the event that's occurring. That's my definition. And so when we're looking at this now, that 50% tomorrow means pretty high confidence, right? The coverage will be 40 to 50%. But the intensity and what's critical, there really isn't anything big here with this. That's why that number's here. So the numbers overall stay pretty low over the next week to week and a half. Happy Father's Day, everybody. Hopefully I didn't go too long. If you have any questions, you can send me an email, scott.sabol at fox8.com. Follow me on Twitter at scottsablefox8. Send me a message on Instagram. You can find me over there. Have a good day, everybody.